Live from the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
A minibus is hijacked in San Francisco. How it played out last night on city streets. Bay Area shop owners hope for a boost during Small Business Saturday. An owner in San Francisco tells us how he plans to attract customers. And a talented artist who is bouncing back after experiencing homelessness. We take an in-depth look at his work and the hardships that he's endured. Good morning. It is Saturday, November 26th. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Devin Feely. Let's start with a quick check of our weather with First Alert meteorologist Darren Peck.
Morning, Devin. We're starting out this Saturday morning slightly warmer than we have been doing for many of the last few. Temperatures, for the most part, have stayed at 40 at their coldest. Beautiful views from our cameras. This one from Treasure Island looking back towards the city skyline. And as we put some numbers on there, Santa Rosa, only 40. That's a good sign. Normally, you've been well down into the low 30s lately. Concord, you're holding on to the 40s as well, so is San Jose. And we do have a beautiful day coming our way. There's no fog on the road to deal with. And a quick look ahead at where we're going for daytime highs. Those warmest inland spots will still make it up to near 70, and we'll be in the mid-60s for most of the immediate bay. Plenty of sunshine for this first day of the weekend, third day of the four-day weekend. I'll see you with the whole forecast in a bit. Devin, back to you.
All right, thanks, Darren. San Francisco police say a suspect took a hijacked minibus on a wild ride to the streets of the city. Now, police say the suspect assaulted the bus driver and hit several other vehicles after taking that bus. Now, fortunately, there were no passengers on board at the time. It happened around 8 o'clock last night in the Mission. The bus driver and the driver of another car were treated for what appeared to be non-life-threatening injuries. The suspect is in custody, and the scene is now clear. Inflation is hanging over this holiday shopping season like a cloud. Things are going to cost you more, and business owners are afraid that shoppers will ultimately spend less. Many small business owners who have struggled to break even are hoping to draw shoppers away from the big box stores. On Black Friday, KPIX Betty Yu checked in with a longtime owner in San Francisco's Cow Hollow to see how he's getting ready for the big weekend.
The owner of D'Antone Milano said he planned to close his doors early on Black Friday.
Because everybody goes to chain stores and for the deep discount. But because we don't do that, we only get our regular customers and sometimes the tourists. But Black Friday, it doesn't really mean anything to us.
It's why you won't find any sale signs around the Union Street store. Farzad has owned it since 1985. Small stores like his don't have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to pricing.
It's not worth it for us. It's not fair for our other customers that they come and pay a regular price.
It's estimated that more gift buyers are likely to shop on Small Business Saturday than Black Friday this year. A recent survey shows 63% of small retailers expect to see higher profits this holiday season. Still, analysts say inflation will ultimately determine how well small businesses do. Farzad said most of his shoes range from $100 to $400, and he's seeing a lot of hesitation among customers these days.
They just look at the price and they put the shoe back down and they say they're going to think about it. They can't.
You don't see it very often. It's got a unique styling to it.
Customer Stacy Hollingsworth first visited D'Antone in 2013, and on Friday she left with 4 pairs of shoes.
I feel like it is a wonderful privilege to be able to support the smaller businesses. There's just nothing like the experience.
Farzad said it's customers like Stacy that keep him going.
During pandemic, I had lots of support from my customers, writing me, don't close, don't leave, because I was thinking of closing up.
That was Betty Yu reporting. Now, analysts say that even if prices are up this holiday season, it doesn't necessarily mean that profits are up as well, because small business owners are likely dealing with higher rent, utilities, and more. More Americans will be using their credit cards to pay for their holiday shopping this year. That's according to economists. And because of that, credit card balances are growing at their fastest rate in 2 decades.
Absolutely not. If you have to put it on a credit card that you can't pay off the next billing cycle, then you ought not to be buying that gift.
A lot of people are also using a buy now, pay later loans for holiday shopping. Services like Afterpay and Affirm are more popular than ever. A Consumer Report survey says that 28% of Americans have used them, but experts warn it is easy to miss payments and get hit with fees. The founder of San Francisco-based Tomo Credit has this message for shoppers.
Whenever you guys get tempted to click that buy now, pay later button, always think that that button exists to incentivize the merchant. Buy now, pay later companies get a huge cut from the sale that they are getting from you. They are not on your side. They are not incentivized for your personal health. So always feel like they are against you.
A star of the Netflix series Squid Game, Oh Young-soo, has been indicted on sexual misconduct charges. The 78-year-old is accused of inappropriately touching a woman in 2017. Now, the alleged victim filed the complaint last year, and authorities closed the case in April of this year, but it's now been reopened. Now, the actor issued a statement saying that he held the woman's hand to walk her around a lake. Our next story is about an artist, a supremely talented artist, as you will soon see. His name is Daniel McLennan, and I've spent months getting to know him. Each visit, each interaction, each tidbit of information that he shared about his life were like brushstrokes, adding to the portrait of the artist and his art, like how he fell into and has now clawed his way out of homelessness, how he's fighting to overcome his addictions and gain a foothold in the art world. And this is his story.
I would just set my canvas against the wall and kind of turn my back and put the tip jar behind me, and I would just lock onto the canvas and just draw.
There is so much beauty in Daniel McLennan's art, a beauty that belies the often ugly reality of his life on the streets.
People are totally clueless to the scope and scale of the suffering that homeless experience on a day-to-day basis.
On each careworn cardboard canvas, Daniel creates images of almost angelic beauty, all the while battling his own demons, homelessness, addiction, and mental illness.
The day-to-day struggles of a homeless person are just, they're unbelievable. It takes a heroic effort just to pick yourself up off the floor every day and find something to eat.
So by now you're probably wondering, how did someone with so much talent and so much potential end up in such a precarious position? The short answer is, in life, Daniel the artist has not always colored inside the lines. In his 20s and 30s, he developed a serious, crippling addiction to prescription pills and later to street drugs.
I've been on just about every drug you can be on, right? Heroin was a big one.
In 2018, he pled guilty to possessing an explosive and the raw materials to make more.
Daniel says it was all a profound misunderstanding, that what police found were, in fact, the raw materials for do-it-yourself science projects, lasers, homemade rockets, and fireworks. An inventor and tinkerer's workshop, he says, not a bomb maker's laboratory. And most important, he says, he never intended to blow anything up or hurt anyone.
In the end, it was his life that imploded. He was sentenced to 2 years in jail, and when he got out, he landed on the street, where he found his calling as an artist, but nearly destroyed himself in the process.
That was a constant battle from the moment that I was awake to the moment that I go to sleep, is to not lose my soul, basically, and my creative drive.
For the 2 years that Daniel lived on the streets of San Francisco, the artist and his soul danced on the razor's cutting edge of ruin and redemption. It was a period of prolific creativity and a time of punishing drug abuse. But not all of his suffering, Daniel says, was self-inflicted.
The attack where I really started to unravel was when I was sexually assaulted.
In the spring of this year, Daniel says he was drugged and sexually assaulted, woke up groggily in the middle of the attack.
I was unconscious for the majority of it. But when I came to, he started to freak out and just pushed me out right onto the curb.
Hurt and humiliated, he headed to the hospital, had a rape kit performed, and was discharged.
That was the lowest point I hit when I was out here.
Outside the ER, he says it all hit him. His body battered and his soul broken, Daniel says he climbed into a trash bin, wanting desperately in that moment for, if not his life, at least his suffering to end.
I just felt like a piece of trash. I was a disposable human being at that point. And in my state of despair, the trash can was the logical place to put my body, right?
He says a police officer plucked him out of the trash and dumped him at a nearby park. Afterwards, he moved to the outskirts of the city, taking a train each day to San Francisco's Bayview neighborhood, where he would curl up on the sidewalk outside of a Walgreens. Solitude and isolation, he says, equaled safety. But make no mistake, Daniel was teetering. The darkness, the day-to-day struggles of homelessness, the great gnashing teeth of the streets threatened to consume him.
What I see when I see a homeless person who's using is somebody who's severely traumatized, who's self-medicating to get through the day.
The only light in that dark time, he says, was his art, and the knowledge that to save it, he would first have to save himself.
Without the art, I wouldn't have gotten clean, I wouldn't have been focused. I just had this deep conviction that if I focused on my work, that everything would turn out for the better.
While still homeless, Daniel had a small gallery showing of his work. The positive press helped to get him into emergency housing and into treatment for his addiction. The portrait of his recovery and his future as an artist is still an unfinished canvas, but he's pursuing his art with a clear-eyed conviction and focus.
I can measure my success by how dedicated I am to my craft. The more I'm dedicated, the more successes I tend to have in my life.
While Daniel is not religious in any conventional sense, he returns again and again to religious imagery in his art, searching perhaps for a measure of mercy and grace, rarely found in a life governed by the chaos, cruelty, and caprice of the streets.
And right now, Daniel is pursuing his art with a singular focus. His goal is to complete and hold on to enough of his work to fill a second gallery show, a show that he hopes will firmly establish his place in the Bay Area's art world.
Devin, just watching that story, the art is so good. How did you find him, and what got you interested in wanting to tell that story?
Well, you know, I think really sort of first and foremost, it was kind of his outsized talent. His artwork is amazing. The evidence of your eyes tells you just that. Then it's also just kind of the unflinching honesty with which he tells his story, and frankly, a bit of the awfulness of what happened to him when he was on the street. Wow, and the raw emotion that's also there. I mean, it's a story that's kind of both sad and uplifting all at once, and it's still being written. Yeah, the art's moving. The story's even more moving once you get to know the person behind it and the person behind the nameless face that we oftentimes will see on the street. Thanks for that. Great piece. Thank you.